Okay, let me bring my screen in my slide here. Just let me know once you guys are able to see my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So let me start with my a brief about myself. Myself, Amol Banwal, a founder and CEO of Priya Cloud Consulting Services. I have been running one small IT boutique in Noida itself, having 15 plus year experience in IT, in which I have 13 plus year of experience in Salesforce technology. I have founded this CPQ Hours as a channel on in October 2018. And I am running this CPQ Hours free learning program on Salesforce Revenue Cloud. And you can see my channel if you log in my log into your YouTube channel or somewhere. You must heard about this CPQ Hours. If you have not subscribed my YouTube channel yet, please do subscribe this YouTube channel for your Salesforce CPQ learning. You can, whomsoever is just going to start on a Salesforce CPQ platform, I would suggest you to first go ahead with these like a video that I have configured. These videos are basically how to work on Salesforce CPQ, what all processes that you have to follow, what all best practices that you have to follow. These CPQ videos are end-to-end a guide or helpful guide for you people to learn on Salesforce CPQ. So this is my channel. I'm just going to share everybody on a chat message itself so that you guys can go ahead and subscribe. Now in my today's topic, I'm not going to consider about how to install the Salesforce CPQ or what exactly about the CPQ because it's the extended model of CPQ. Here we are going to discuss about the Salesforce CPQ tips and tricks. I have already created one playlist. If you see my channel, I have already created one playlist for CPQ tips and tricks. This CPQ tips and tricks, I have uploaded around 7 videos. Every videos has some best practices that you have to follow or some tweaks around in your CPQ platform. Salesforce CPQ does not needed to have any extended knowledge on your Apex programming and etc. You must to have your admin knowledge and one sales knowledge actually, how the sales CRM will work in Salesforce behavior. So let's suppose you are using your Salesforce as a sales cloud or as an enterprise edition. You must aware about how the sales cycle will be completed and will be started. So let's suppose your sales cycle is going to be start from your lead generation, converting a lead to an account, contact, and opportunity. And from your opportunity, your quote process will start. So your Salesforce CPQ is all about your CPQ journey, means configure, price, and quote model. Okay. What it happened like in today's topic or in today's webinar, we are going to discuss about 2 things. One is called Salesforce CPQ authorized new calculation service best practices. Second part is changing the API field name or deleting the field. So what is happening sometime you generally or we as a admin, I generally used to delete some of the field which is unnecessary that we have been using, right? So what all things that you have to be aware before delete any field while using your Salesforce CPQ. Okay. So these are 2 main topics that we are going to cover today. Okay. So let's me move to next slide deck. The Salesforce CPQ authorized new calculation service is the best practices. What is exactly the best practices? If we do a Salesforce CPQ authorized, what does it meaning of Salesforce CPQ authorized? Let me tell you. Let me log in my Salesforce CPQ environment. If I logged in here, I'm going to my setup. If you go to setup, there is an installed packages. In your installed packages, you will see the Salesforce CPQ package is installed because Salesforce CPQ works as a managed package. Okay. If you click on a configure button, in your configure section, you will see one of the authorization option actually. So this particular Salesforce CPQ is already been authorized. If this Salesforce CPQ is not authorized, what it happens? Let me give you another example here. So let's suppose if I am going to, what is the meaning of authorization? Just try to understand. The meaning of authorization is basically Salesforce CPQ has hosted one their services on the Heroku platform, and they are going to access these services from the Salesforce CPQ managed packages with help of OAuth connection. So whenever you install any Salesforce CPQ packages in your R, what it does, automatically you will have to authorize, manually you will have to authorize that I am going to subscribe the services which hosted on a Heroku platform. So whatever your Salesforce CPQ services are hosted, that helps your pricing calculation logic, your advanced approval calculation logic, or any other further calculation logic, which are utilizing for your JavaScript calculation purposes. Okay. So this is the purpose of your authorization actually. So what it happen authorization? The moment you authorize it, let me tell you the connected app. So we have one option called connected app OAuth usage. The moment you hit this connected OAuth app usage, you have a one Salesforce CPQ entry here for your user count call 1. The moment you hit this one, you will see who actually, which user is being authorized for these services. So I am using currently a service account as a user to subscribe these services of which are being hosted by our Heroku platform. What it happen if you revoke these services? Actually, I'm not going to authorize for this service account. Let me revoke these services. The moment you revoke these services, if I go back to my settings and refresh this Salesforce CPQ configurator page, you see further step is required by an administrator to go to a Salesforce CPQ settings, pricing and calculation, and authorize a new calculation service. So again, you have to do a authorization here. Until unless you are not authorizing, your pricing calculation logic will not happen, or pricing calculation will not run properly actually. Because you will have to authorize it, whatever the services are hosted on a Heroku platform that get connected with you using your connected OAuth app. So what exactly it is happen? The moment I click on a request authorization, click on allow. The moment you authorize these services, your authorization gets successful, and I will see a one user count entry here in my connected OAuth usage. Okay. Salesforce CPQ connected OAuth user count 1. If you see my name, my username is get appeared here because I have authorized these services of Salesforce CPQ connected OAuth. Now, reason why I'm highlighting this. Sometime what it happened in every organization, the people who is like generally used to work on Salesforce CPQ or Salesforce environment, they have been leaving the organization, right? At this point of time, you might go ahead and deactivate that user. So what it happen if you are deactivating those users from the system, you must to be aware about whomsoever you have authorized that user. It should not be a human user. So your best practice is to, whenever you are authorizing any user for your Salesforce CPQ purpose, that user should not be a human user. It should be a non-human user so that your services should be up and running. You do not need to consider about any maintenance or activity further. If you are having those user, which is actual user, which is a live user of your environment, what it happen, the moment you have deactivated your user, this Salesforce CPQ authorization will be disabled, and again you have to authorize with the new user account. So your services will be goes down, or if Salesforce CPQ is going to install a further package or install any update, that will not be happen, and you will see a one error message. Let me show you why exactly the error message that you see. If you have disabled those authorized user, what it happen? Your calculation authorization has been expired and action by administrator. You will see such and such error messages. So what is the best practice here? The best practice here is use the non-human user. So in this scenario, what we are going to use? We are going to use some service account user. That service account user will help us to authorize for permanently, because we are not going to disable any service account user from the system. So your service account user will be used for authorized purpose, and there will not be any lag behind any services down the line. Because if you deactivate the actual user from the system, your authorization will be failed, your pricing logic and calculation will be failed. So your first and foremost best practice while using your Salesforce CPQ authorization, you must be aware about calculation authorization services has to be done by service account, not by any human user. So here we are talking about the best practices. Due to this active user requirement, it is recommended that user that is used to authorize the calculator is a non-human admin user. This is what the best practice that we have. Any questions so far?
No, sir. Good. Thank you.
So I will share this slide deck to you also, so that you can further go ahead and discuss about. If you guys have any query, just let us know, or you can just.
I have one query.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned that non-service like service account. So, like, how we can identify in our Salesforce? Like,
okay.
Is it related to
okay? The normal meaning of it is a normal user. The meaning of service account user meaning that you have created a one admin user in the system. Let's suppose what it happened.
Right.
You sometime understand about the default user for your lead assignment, default user for your workflows, default user for some case assignment also.
Okay.
That default user that you are going to assign for your lead assignment or case settings or any further services, let's suppose your Apex is going to be failed, right? What it happened? To whom you wanted to notify? I wanted to notify to a particular service account. So service account user is a practical user, is an actual user in the system, but these users are basically used for admin purposes, not for our login and creating an actual like a lead or account or contact person. These are all users we are going to use for our service purpose.
Okay. Actually, they are not actual users, means they are internal kind of users, right?
Exactly. So for in every like a enterprise like a customer, what it happened? Let's suppose you are using a 500 user. So the frequency of what you call terminations or leaving the organization may happen very fast, right? So people may leave, people may join. So rather than deactivating the users, my suggestion is to do not use such a user where you have a back and forth flow where you have been subscribed for your connected box user. So better to create one service account user and subscribe those services, or ask to customer if they have such a user already in place in your system, use that a service account user for those authorization.
Sure.
Okay. I'm moving to the next topic. It is very much critical actually. Sometimes what it happens, it gives us a very error message whenever we are using any. If we are deleting the field API or if we are changing the API name of the field. Okay. Before we move further, I would like to just give you some heads up on what I have built so far. I'm going to open my one of the price bulletin. Okay, my only let me make it more interactive here. Okay, why do we delete this field sometime in Salesforce? We generally used to delete these field for unwanted use. Let's suppose I have some of organization are very using this Salesforce since very long time, right? I have been using my Salesforce since 10 years now. Sometimes what it happened due to unwanted or unknowingly, I have been creating a lots of field on my quote or my opportunity on my quote line item also. What it happened, once you run your what you call audit field history, we come to know that, okay, these are the list of all custom field that we have created. There is no SS use of those field, and we wanted to delete or archive those fields from the system because there is no further use of those field altogether, right? So in order to maintain those Salesforce environment, you might need to go and delete those field which is not in use. Okay, so that is why we delete the field. Why do we rename that field? Sometimes what it happened, I haven't followed the best practices. The moment I come to know that, okay, I have a review process, my solution architect says that, okay, you are using a correct label name, but your API name should be corrected. So I need to refactor my API name of the field. If I am refactoring my API name field, what it happens in your Salesforce CPQ? It might fail your Salesforce CPQ logic. So let's suppose you have created some price rule, you have created some product rule, and CPQ price rule or CPQ product rule are using your one of the field that you are going to rename or that you are going to delete. That might hamper your logic actually. Okay. So let me give you one example of price rule. Then what we will do one exercise to rename the API field name, what impact will happen, and how we can resolve that field API name edit part or edit portion. Okay. Let me open one of my what do you call this price rule. Set adapter name and adapter quantity. I have created this price rule. The purpose of this price rule to update my adapter quantity and adapter name. These are two fields that I have created on my quote line object. So on my quote line object, I have following field. Okay. Quantity. This is my quantity field. So this adapter quantity, we are going to update with help of quote line quantity field. And similarly, we are using the adapter name field of the quote line. Okay. Let me give you one. Let me open one of my quote. What I'm trying to say here. I have opened my quote. If I click on a edit line. Okay, if you see, I have a parent-child product. I have PP1 is my parent and CC1 is my child product. If I change my quantity called 2 to 4, and if I calculate again, my quantity for child becomes 8 actually. Okay, this part I have done with help of my price rule logic. Let me show you what all price rule that I am using. If you see this price rule called set transceiver quantity, I'm using this lookup object. This lookup object is basically CPQ transceiver quantity is my another object. This is my configurator screen. I have put my all data information. If adapter name is PP1, if adapter quantity is 2, my transceiver quantity should be 4. If my adapter quantity is 4, for child product CC1, my quantity should be 8. If my adapter quantity is 6, my child quantity should be 12. So with help of this lookup object, we are using in price rule engine to override this particular information of my price rule. Okay. So this price rule runs, and using this adapter name, it updates your value to your Salesforce CPQ and updates here in your quote logic. So if I change to 2, if I hit calculate, my CC1 means my quantity is going to be changed. I'm not going to guide you here about the price rule. If you wanted to learn more on Salesforce CPQ price rule and product rule, you may go ahead and subscribe my channel again if you haven't subscribed yet. I have dedicatedly created one group for our price rule and product rule. You see my playlist. This is for our advanced approval. This is for our entire Salesforce CPQ Revenue Cloud. In this Salesforce CPQ Revenue Cloud, you will see I have created lots of summary variable exercise. I have created a product rule and price rule also. So go ahead and read or watch these videos so that you are comfortable with the Salesforce CPQ price rule. I'm just talking about the impact of price rule if I change the API name of price rule. Okay, what it happened and how you can resolve that issue. You got to know that how the CPQ price rule is going to help. Yeah. Means if I am changing my quantity of my parent product, my child product quantity will be changed with help of my price rule logic. Okay, this is how it is happening. But in some of the scenarios, my customer is saying that, hey, listen, you are using sometime adapter underscore quantity. Sometimes you are using the without space. So I did a mistake. Let's suppose I did some wrong API name here. My solution architect is saying that you have to resolve that API name. It should be adapter underscore name. Okay. It should be uniquely, it should be like symmetry everywhere. Okay. This is my requirement here. So what it happened, if I go to my quote line object, let me open my quote line object here. If I go here, my quote line object, I have created one field name called adapter name. This is the adapter name. I have put it a wrong API name. My solution architect has given us a feedback. Use the same like API name everywhere. I am updating this to adapter underscore name here. Reason why my solution architect is saying, because if you see this Salesforce CPQ transceiver quantity as a custom object, this adapter name field, let me show you. Let me show you this object first. In this object, we are using the same adapter name, but again, the adapter name here we have an API name called adapter underscore name underscore. That is why my technical lead has given us a feedback saying that you'll have to resolve that API name. Okay. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to change the API name and putting a extra space under adapter underscore name. So what it happened here, if I change my API name, what all consideration that you must consider before you move further with changing the API name. Okay. If I go back and reload this quote line editor page, I will start getting an error message saying that this adapter name, API name does not exist. You see this message? I will start getting this message until I have to resolve that issue. Okay. Now, how you can resolve these issues? Because I am using in a price rule, what I have to go? I have to go and change in my price rule. Okay. I am here in my price rule. Let me open this, my price rule here. Okay. Now, here you see, I am using the quote line tested field called adapter without space name. So I need to update this adapter underscore name underscore C. This is very helpful tool, Salesforce Inspector. I love this, and I'm using this Salesforce Inspector quite a lot. I'm going back here. I put a adapter underscore name and click on save. What it happened if I refresh this? If I refresh this, you see my adapter name underscore C is got changed. Okay. So in one of my price rule, wherever I have been using this adapter underscore name, I have to rename it. I have renamed properly, which is quite fine. Now let me go back to my another price rule and change this API name. for the another price rule. So I have created two price rule for our adapter update purpose. Okay. So here you see I am using another price section. In this price section, I have an adapter name. This adapter name has to be changed because I have changed the API name. I'm going back here. Click on show all data. Going back and putting again adapter name underscore. Similarly, you will have to identify what all price rule that you are using it, and you wanted to just discard those price rule, or you wanted to replace from one field to another field. You can go ahead and easily you can conduct, or you can do this for your renaming purpose, for your deleting purpose, or you have been switching from old field to the new field, right? I'm pretty much good here. If I have conducted all my price rule, I did my all scrutiny, I have did my all changes from my all price rule changes for my API. Now, again, if I go back to my this Salesforce CPQ, if I run this, I am again reloading that port line editor list. No problem, Brahma. I will just finishing in another 5 minutes, not more than that. So you see, I have been like getting this message, even though I have changed my price rule APIs name of the field, right? How to fix that again? How to fix? Let me navigate to my Salesforce CPQ, install packages. A very quick fix, what you have to do. After changing, you are still getting an error message. How to resolve that? You'll have to go back to your CPQ install packages, click on configure. And in your additional setting, you have a execute script option also. You'll have to click on this execute script. Just wait for a moment. Wait for another 2 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes. It's got completed. The moment it's got completed, now you can go ahead and test this functionality. Here you see, I am not getting any error message. It is successfully I have renamed it. Right? So reason why I'm telling, sometime what it happened, even though you have changed the API name, even though you have changed in your price rule logic, in your product rule logic, in your approval rule logic, again you have been hitting with these errors, right? Your price rule API name is this, but you have changed it, but you are still getting the error message. So how you can resolve that issues? You'll have to go back to your Salesforce CPQ configuration page, go to your additional setting and execute the script so that your script will be again recompiled and stored for the further service. Okay? So this way you can resolve your problem for renaming the API name or deleting the API name or replacing from old API name to the new API. So these are all today's topic that we are going to cover, that I have covered so far. I will share this what you call PPT and slide deck, and I will also upload this video on my YouTube channel. You can just go ahead and watch these videos. If you guys still have any questions or query around that, just ping me on my YouTube channel. I will try to reply everyone. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far?
So this is part of the best practice, right? We need to consider these scenarios as part of implementation best practice, right?
Exactly. Because the Salesforce CPQ.
In this case, if you are writing some of the price rule or enhancing or restructuring our CPQ implementation, right? In some chances, as you said, like the field API name will get changed, right? So if we re-execute the script, definitely, right? That is a
100%. You have to re-execute that script. Otherwise, what will happen? You will knowingly and unknowingly you will start facing that issues and popping out the error.
Sure.
Any questions so far, Kumar and Shankar?
No, sir.
Yeah. No, sir. Fine.
So I am wrapping this a call and webinar, and hope soon, you guys, we will see you again. Okay. And just watch and subscribe this channel, and again, try to share your feedback. I will just initiate one poll message for you people. Just provide your feedback. Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much for session.
Thank you so much for joining the call.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.